Genetic engineering is using biological technology to alter an organism's genetic programming. In other words, mixing and matching certain genes. There are two types: somatic, which extracts and alters genes from an adult, and germline, which changes the embryo development. Stem cell research is the study of using stem cells to aid in medical treatments. Cloning is creating an identical copy via genetic information from a living thing. An embryonic stem cell comes from the inner mass of the embryo, whereas an adult stem cell would be found in stem cells throughout the body, which divide to replenish dying cells.
What does Jesus say about genetic engineering and stem cell research? The new law does not support genetic engineering and stem cell research because it involves altering the characteristics of a human person, even though God creates all people in His image and likeness. It also involves the killing of another human to be able to perform the procedures. In the book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 18, Jesus is asked, "Which ones?" And Jesus said, "You shall not murder, you shall not steal." This quote supports the claim because you have to murder a human to be able to perform such research and procedures. And by killing, you are stealing someone's life from them, which Jesus and the new law do not condemn.
What does the Church teach? The Catechism of the Catholic Church says, "Respect for the human person entails respect for the rights that flow from his dignity as a creature. These rights are prior to society and must be recognized by it. They are the basis of the moral legitimacy of every authority." The Church is opposed to research involving human embryonic stem cells since it is against the killing of an innocent life. It supports other forms of genetic engineering, like adult and umbilical cord stem cell research. It is important for us to stay informed and understand what the Church supports. It is also important for us to show love and respect to every human person and understand their inherent dignity and worth. And as Catholics, we must stand up for those who cannot and fight for justice.
The definition of a human person is a living being that contains a real and existing power to direct its own development toward fulfillment through perfect, unconditional, and infinite truth, love, goodness, beauty, and unity, and will do so if all the proper conditions are met. Participation in genetic engineering goes against our definition of a human person because we are all created in God's image and likeness, and genetically modifying a human person goes against God's plan and denies His power. Participation in stem cell research also goes against our definition of a human person because human embryos are still human persons and should be treated with just as much dignity and respect as everyone else. Both genetic engineering and stem cell researching do not demonstrate agape love because they fail to recognize the inherent dignity we all have and the love that we all deserve. Finally, genetic engineering and stem cell research go against level 4 happiness, which we all should strive to achieve, and trying to create life as human people denies God's love and His creation.
For our case study, we have Frances Everall, who was a 4-year-old girl who survived stage 4 neuroblastoma by undergoing umbilical cord blood stem cell treatment. Frances was born in 2002. After she was born, her parents stored the cord blood, and they never thought they'd actually need it. At 4 years old, Frances was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma. Neuroblastoma originates in nerve cells in early development and causes cells to grow into tumors. Frances had stage 4, which meant cancer spreads to more sites such as bone, liver, and skin. And for this type of cancer, children under 5 or younger are commonly affected. The doctor gave Frances's parents options. Either they can take Frances home to die since the cancer was too advanced, or she can undergo more treatment. Palliative care is not an option at this point. Palliative care is medical care focused on providing relief and improving life. Frances, though, had the best chances to fight cancer. She went through 6 cycles of radiotherapy and chemotherapy, 8 hours of surgery to remove a tumor, and bone marrow transplant. Frances then received cord blood to boost her immune system. In 2008, Frances went into remission. Remission is disappearance of signs and symptoms of a disease, and eventually she survived the cancer. Question number 1. What is your view on genetic engineering and stem cell research? Question number 2. Frances was diagnosed at a young age and was given options on what to do. Either she can go home and continue her life for whatever time she has left, or she can continue to go through those brutal treatments. If you were in this situation, what would you do as her parent? Question number 3. Storing cord blood is very expensive, and you might not even end up using it. Francis's parents didn't even know if they were going to use it or not. So if you were in this situation, would you have stored the blood? In the end, this case study fits with our teaching because Francis experienced and went through stem cell therapy. In this case, no one was killed in order to achieve this treatment. So therefore, this case study is a perfect example of what the church supports. Francis's parents treated Francis as a person. She was not mistreated or oppressed because she's a little different. She was seen for her complete value, and her parents wanted her to fight because she deserves to live.